guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm hoping that you guys can actually help me out because these are all the books that have been on my TBR for way too long that I've been putting off, and I'm hoping that some of you can convince me to read them. Let's get into the video. Every book has a specific reason why I've been putting it off, and I would like to preface this by saying I want to read these books. I am really excited to read these books, but there's something in my brain that every time I look at it when I'm in between books I go no. So I'm hoping that you guys can help me out. First up, we have Addicted to You and Kiss the Sky. I actually get very confused. I know that they're both Calloway sisters. I know that these are completely different series, but I think that they are interconnected. I could be completely wrong. And with that in mind, there's two reasons. One, I don't know which book to pick up. I've got a couple books in this series on my TBR shelf, and I've got this book on my series, and I don't know which one to start with. So please let me know which one to start with and what order to read these in. And another reason why I never picked it up is because I know how damn long these series are. You can't look at me and tell me that there's not a lot of books in this series, because there is, and I have no clue where to start. I think another reason why I've also been putting this off is obviously Addicted to You, but these books mention addiction, I believe, heavily. And for those that don't know, I'm actually 5 years sober of no alcohol. When I did purchase these, it was still kind of new and fresh, and I just knew that I couldn't really mentally deal with that. Now I can, so I'm kind of ready to read them, but I'm so scared because of the astronomical size that this series is, and I don't know where to start. Next up, you guys have seen in my October TBR reaping video, which was so fun. It was a Hunger Games TBR reaping video, so if you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out. But it is Akane by Lynette Noni. This was meant to be read this month, and I keep putting it off even though it's on my TBR. I am a mood reader. This series is probably one of the most I am excited to read, and I eye this book on my shelf daily, but every time I go to pick it up, I just know that there's a lot of books in this series, and I don't know why it seems so daunting to me. I don't know why big series seem really scary to me at the moment, because I want to read this so badly, but there's so many standalones and duologies and trilogies that I want to read, that when I look at really big series I get scared. Please convince me to read this. I was meant to read it this month, in the month of October, and I have yet to pick it up, and I'm terrified of picking it up because I don't know, there's something in my brain that goes, no, that's a really long series, you can't read that right now. Please convince me to read this, please. I am begging you, because this is the series that I really want to get into. This one I'm scared for. Crescent City. I know I'm gonna read it, okay? I know I'm gonna read it. I've purposely putting this book off because I hate cliffhangers, and I always told myself that I was gonna read Crescent City series once it got time that the third book was about to come out. But we're hitting that benchmark, okay? And these books are thick. It is one of the reasons why I haven't picked it up. I have the second book on my shelf, like I'm ready to go. I'm trying not to spoil anything. 788 pages. 788 pages. And don't come at me and be like, it's really easy to get into. I have seen the TikToks where everyone struggles for 200 to 300 pages. It should not take you 200 to 300 pages to get into a book, and that terrifies me, okay? I know it's Sarah J Maas. I love Sarah J Maas. Sarah J Maas is the queen of fantasy, but 200 to 300 pages of wanting to pluck out your eyeballs is a bit intense for me. And like, the font isn't even big. I'm terrified to read this. Just freaking terrified. But it's coming to that point where I really actually have to read this. Like, is it a mental game? Do I need to purchase it on my Kindle and read half through my Kindle and then finally pick up the book and start reading it on my physical book, sorry. Like, tell me the easiest way to get through this. Should I do an audiobook? Like, I don't know. What is the easiest way? Because apparently the world building is really hard as well. So please just tell me the easiest way to read it, because it's coming to the time where I need to start like forcing myself to again read it. Now this one's actually kind of sad that this is on the list. For anyone that's new here, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score is one of my all-time favorite romances. I don't know what it is. I think she put crack and drugs into that book. It hits everything for me. It is a small town romance. We love Knock 'Em Out. Knock 'Em Out is a small town, and I love me a small town romance, okay? It's grumpy sunshine. It just really hits it. And then I got the second book, Things We Hide from the Light, and I still have my bookmark in this. I got up to page 120 and I had to put it down. I suffer with mental health issues, and I was going through a little bit of like a depression rut, and this book, like, I was just reading pure depression. Completely fine now. Like, I just go through waves, and I unfortunately picked this up when I was in a wave, and the last thing you want to do is read sad books and depressing stuff and read about a character going through depression when you're going through depression. It's like looking at a mirror that you have been avoiding for weeks. So I put it down. But every time I go to read this, and don't get me wrong, like, I love the Knock 'Em Out series. I even just purchased the 3rd book that just got released. Whenever I go to pick it up, my brain just looks at it and goes, depression, 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 depression. Depressing, okay? I don't know how to disconnect that thought. Does it get better? Does he stay depressed? Obviously he doesn't. But like, how much do I have to get through? You know what I mean? Like, push me to read this, please, because I love the Knock 'Em Out series. I just can't look at this without thinking of depression. Then we have Daisy Jones and the Six. Now this one, I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read many of her books. A lot is still on my TBR. I bought this and I've been wanting to read it, and then I saw the TV show come out. The TV show looked phenomenal, okay? And I was like, wow, okay, I have to read this book. And my boyfriend wanted to watch the TV show. I wanted to watch the TV show, but I was like, no, please, I want to read the book before we watch the TV show. Then it became a mental game of, you have to read this book, and I can't do that. The second you tell me I have to do something, gone. Cannot do it for the life of me. Then about 9 months passed, and I still had not read the book, and I felt so bad and I felt so guilty. So I told my boyfriend, I was like, okay, like, let's just watch it together. Loved the TV series. Hated the ending, so if it has a different ending from the TV show to the book, definitely tell me. But yeah, now that I've recently watched the TV show, it's getting delayed beyond recognition because I've watched the TV show now. So now I'm like, I have to wait for like a year or two for my brain to forget the freaking plot so I can actually enjoy this and not feel like I'm reading what I've already watched. So she might be on here for a while. It's going to take a lot of convincing to get me to read Daisy Jones and the Six. That is all I will say. Then we have Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy. This book has been on my list for a while. I read A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime and I devoured it. I actually love that book, which I know I think that's actually a controversial opinion. I've been seeing very much mixed reviews on the book, but I personally loved it. And I love the college, like, academic setting. But I didn't realize that that was the 2nd book and that this is the 1st. So then when I went and purchased the 1st and saw how big it is, and that's nearly the size of my goddamn head, I got a little turned off from the series. I got my ick in the series, okay? It's nothing to do with the writing or the author because I love it. It's just the astronomical size that is this book. And also, I mean, the text isn't like tiny, but it's still, it's giving textbook. So every time I look at it, I just see the size and the girth and I go, not for me. Do I need to read this one on my Kindle? Do I need to get the mental game going? Do I need to read 50% on my Kindle? Tell me, because I loved A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, so I need to know if I should read this or not. Now this one I actually don't need any convincing of, but I've read her so many times and I'm doing a reread. And it's coming up that I kind of just want to put her in here. For those of you that don't know, I'm actually an author and I wrote Heir of Broken Fate. She is a romantasy. She's got fae, dragons, griffins, mermaids, enemies to lovers, slow burn, forced proximity, one bed trope, who did this to you. I love her. She's got elemental magic system. It is about a princess that runs away from her kingdom because her father, the king, is a very cruel, wicked man, and I absolutely despise him. But she runs to the fae to ask for help, only for the fae to need her help more. She has to save not only the entire fae race, but magic itself. She's on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited, and I would be forever grateful and just bow down to your feet if you even gave her a shot, because I love her so much and I just would be eternally grateful. Yeah, I'm just putting her in here because I just gotta promote her, okay? I gotta promote her and I love her, and I am actually, she's a series. This is the 1st book in a series and I'm currently editing book 2, so that's why I have to read 1st book to read the 2nd book, just to like continuity, consistency, the flow of everything. I just want to make sure that once you read book 1 and then go into book 2 that everything like flows really nicely. And let me tell you, writing book 2, I'm currently on my 3rd draft of editing for this book. I think it might be people's favorite. So go read the 1st book, Heir of Broken Fate, so you can read the 2nd. And the 2nd's coming early 2024. Exciting! Now there's going to be a few people that gasp. There might be a few people that faint. But I need a little help and a little bit of a shove. This book hasn't been on my TBR for long, but it is high on my TBR list, but it keeps getting pushed off. Every time I finish a book, I look at my TBR shelf and my eyes look at it and I go, I really want to, and then I see the size and I see the tiny freaking writing and I go, binding 13 is not the time right now. I want to read the Boys of Tommen series so much. I want my heart destroyed. I want it put through a freaking shredder, okay? I want emotional damage. And I know that this book does it. But every freaking time I finish a book and look at how freaking big this is and I go, no thank you. It's like 800 pages. 800 pages. It freaks me out beyond, okay? It really freaks me out. And I know it's a good book. So you guys really gotta like be imaginative and creative with trying to get me to read this sucker. But please convince me because it is so high up on my TBR list. It is actually ridiculous that I haven't read this book yet. And last but certainly not least, I believe that this book actually deserves to be on this list, and I think it is valid for me putting it off for like nearly 2 years. The Zodiac Academy. The Zodiac series, I am not going into this blind. I know that they call the writers the Twisted Sisters. I may be going into the actual plot of the book blind, but I'm not going into the emotional damage, the addiction to the book, and the utter controversy that is this series and how it makes everybody want to pluck out their own eyeballs. I'm very aware of all of that, and that is why I'm putting it off. I'm also putting it off because the sheer astronomical size that these books grow to be, how many, the volume in this series. You think I was scared before of how big the books and the series were in all these other books? Nothing compares to the Zodiac Academy. Nothing. I don't even look at this book now when it is on my TBR. When I've done finishing a book and I go to my TBR shelf, it is not on my mind. It is not on my radar. I see it a lot and I go, oh yeah, I have that book. I am petrified to read this. Do I read it on Kindle? What do I do? Like, there's various things in this. Like, I'm scared for so many reasons. I'm scared for the actual story. I'm scared for the actual plot. I'm scared for the emotional damage it's going to inflict upon me. I'm scared that I'm going to get addicted to it and then I'm going to be sucked into like a 7-8 book. Some of them have 1,000 pages. 1,000 pages! Bruh. This one is going to be the hardest to convince me, okay? It truly is. Darcy, I really like that name. Welcome to Zodiac Academy. Note to all students, vampire bites, loss of limbs, or getting lost in the Wailing Wood will not count as a valid excuse for being late to class. That's actually slowly convincing me. This is how deranged I am. Like, I know it's going to inflict harm. That is so pretty. Another thing is the books are expensive, which they are indie authors. It's expensive for Australia. And being an indie author myself, I completely get it. I try and support indie authors all the time, everything. But there's just so many books in the series, and I'm pretty sure the books are like $30 to $40 for me here in Australia. Like, if I start this series, I'm dropping $300 to $400 on the series, and that also petrifies me. You're gonna have to really convince me for this book. And that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys convinced me to read even just one of these books, and then my life will be complete and that this video was not for nothing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you really liked this video. If you did, definitely go check out my other videos, and I love you guys so much. Bye.